So this is pre-cacao ceremony chilling.
Why in the house or in the outside?
So your cup has only got chili and water in it, so it's going to be a little bit bitter. Some people like it that way, some people really prefer to sweeten it. If you want to sweeten it, there's vanilla, and the chili helps it get in your bloodstream a little faster, and the red warming, heating, stimulating is an accelerator on energy and spiritual level. You'll all need your spoon. So come and get it. Yeah, it settles out. You're going to have mud on the bottom of your cup.
Share a spoon?
Cacao.
So welcome to the sanctuary. I know for me personally there was a part of the desire to be able just to get to drop in with people that I'm really close to, that I love, and a part of my family here.
Number one, if you are presently taking a prescription antidepressant or antipsychotic from the medical folks, like an SSRI or the other one, and you drink this, you are going to get a monster migraine headache. Don't do it. Second reason not to drink this stuff. This is real chocolate. It's going to increase your heart rate 15 or 20%. If you've got a major heart condition of some kind where that would matter, drink less. If you're a dog, a parrot, or horse, you're dead. I'm going to kill you today. So, everybody sign the 3 copies of the release form certifying you're not a dog, a parrot, or a horse? Okay. So, in that case, we invite the chocolate spirit, spirit of cacao, and wherever you source your guidance, your inner knowing, higher self, angels, guides, ascended masters, power animals, ancestors, ETs, or other assorted spirits, even if you don't know who your unseen friends are in this lifetime, please invite them in anyway so we can play. All right. You can drink it fast, you can drink it slow, you don't have to drink it all, and your spoon will keep the little particles stirred up or you're going to have chocolate mud on the bottom. And I came to San Marcos and hopped right into, like a lot of people here, hopped right into some relationship karma and went down to the internet place and got a dozen posters printed and put them up around town. And that's how you become a therapist in San Marcos. Put up a dozen posters and you're there. Started seeing people in a private practice, did a few small groups, and a few months later I had a visit from the cacao spirit. I'd worked with plant spirit medicine as an herbalist, where you use the consciousness behind the herb, either with or without various preparations of the herb. And when in meditation I had this visit, and when I figured out it was the spirit of chocolate, she asked me if I'd like to go find out why chocolate was so important to the ancients in this part of the world. And I figured, oh, that would be pretty easy. And so off I went to talk to the local shamans and found out that they use alcohol to induce altered states for student training. I talked to the anthropologist who'd been living in Pana for 50 years. He didn't know anybody. Any peoples in Central America using cacao for ceremonial or ritual purposes. Oh, by then I was feeling the energy, and I rang up the cacao spirit on that cosmic telephone that we all have inside, that you've all been trained you don't have, where you can talk to anyone, living or dead, past, present, or future. They don't even have to live in this universe, and you can call them up and talk to them. It's kind of fun. And she came for a little visit, and I said, okay, I know why you're here. We're going to have fun. Sign me up. I'm in. Where are we going? What's happening? And she said, okay, we'll take care of it, and was gone. So this botanist had a project in Central America with Ramon Maya nut. The locals call it Wooosh. And Barb's going to get some now. And it's the biggest tree in the rainforest, about 70 meters tall, more than 2 meters in diameter, and drops hundreds and hundreds of pounds of food on the ground. Little nuts, little green nuts with a orange tissue paper thin, transparent skin. And the stuff is a superfood. It's just amazing. And her project is to get local people to eat it because they won't. It's stigmatized. If you eat Wooosh, everyone knows you're too poor to have corn. And that is a big spiritual no-no. And in about an hour, I sat down with the cacao spirit again and I said, all right, I have one of this planet's most important facilitators, teacher plants, magic plants, energy plants, running around in my system. And it's totally unlike anything I've ever used before. It's not taking me on a trip. And I've been with the shamans from psychedelic using cultures like many of you, most likely. And this stuff wasn't doing anything. But the doors were wide open. And so I started drinking it almost every day for months, learning. And I realized a lot of things along the way. I realized that with a little more internet research, I realized that I seemed to be the only person that there was any record of on the planet that knew anything about this magic plant. And I was having an amazing amount of fun with it. It was a huge boost to my meditations. Helped me clean up a whole bunch of stuff. I started doing ceremonies. That kind of moved into 3 years of travel from southern Mexico to Panama, buying cacao in markets, visiting indigenous peoples, visiting plantation type growers, visiting chocolate making factories. So I've been playing with chocolate ever since, but it's not really what I do. It's not what I'm interested in. The chocolate came to be a partner. And one of the first things I learned is that most people who were coming to my ceremonies hadn't spent years in an ashram. And they didn't know how to hold a meditative focus for more than an hour or an hour and a half. And when I fed them the cacao, I got 4 or 5 hours out of people. So I had more fun. And that's what I do with cacao. Over the years, I've learned that this chocolate, most chocolate doesn't have this much active compounds in it. Hershey's, Cadbury's is missing a little more than 99% of the active ingredients. Lint's down about 80%. The organic bars, pretty much everywhere now, are highly variable. Some of it's like Lind or Green and Black's, missing 75 or 80% compared to what we have. There's a lot in the down 40, 50, 60% range. Some of it from indigenous Peruvian or Ecuadorian sources is only down 10 or 15% from what we're able to get here in Guatemala. But the South American stuff and almost all the hybrids that come from it has a lot of caffeine in it. I call it too buzzy, no focus. We sell it to a couple of stock traders on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. They tell me they no longer use Coke. And after work, instead of going out and having 4 or 5 martinis, they go home and play with the kids and help the wife do dinner. So I actually got an email from the wife who said, "You've totally changed everything in our family. I was thinking of getting divorced."
How do you prepare it? So you would take a bar or what? How do you prepare it?
I take a bar, chop it with a knife into pieces, say a 1/4 inch, 6 millimeters or less in some dimension, and put it in hot water that is just about where you don't want to keep your finger in it. So that'd be about 118, 120 Fahrenheit, 48, 50 C. And in a minute or two, it's softens up, and then take a whisk, and that's what you drink.
And how much water to the...
As much as you want.
Okay, so it's dense.
Yeah, if you want a thinner or a thicker, if you want to do it the way the Israelis do their coffee, a lot less water.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. And so I was reading an anthropological journal, and I ran across a myth of indigenous peoples in Central and South America that said, when mankind gets out of harmony with the natural world, Cacao comes out of the rainforest to open people's hearts and reestablish the balance. That was the myth. And I went, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm helping cacao come out of the rainforest to open people's hearts to be part of the shift process on this planet. And I thought, that probably means I'm going to sell a little cacao, but I had no idea. In the last 2 years, we have purchased, counting what's coming in this week, 24.5 tons of cacao beans. It's nuts. Ask Barbara, who takes all the orders off of email. And our postage bill, what we give the postman when he comes, is somewhere between $1,000 and $2,500 a week. From Pacific Slope, Guatemala, the foothills and the lower elevation rainforest, if you look at maps from the 1700s, that strip of Guatemala from about the Mexican border down as far as maybe Escuintla is the biggest cacao growing area on the maps from the 1700s, the Spanish maps. And that's where our cacao comes from. I was told in the late 1980s that this was coming and I would have this much fun. It's hard to believe. I was told in the late 1980s that what was coming on this planet was a huge polarization, a gigantic split, basically between a fear-based and a love-based reality. And they said the split will get so big that it will be absolutely impossible for anyone to stay in the middle. Everyone is going to take sides. And I think you could say we were pretty well there at this point.
So I'm starting to feel
Most of the people
very
that come
happy,
regularly to my porch
appreciative
have a
of the
small
experience, connected to the people in the circle, just feeling present and connected to the people here. Post-cacao ceremony energies.
I've been ready since 8:30 this morning. I'm so excited. Betsy has gone into labor. This is the candle from her blessing way. So we're going to send her love, all this beautiful energy, the most incredibly beautiful labor. And may this new being feel so welcome to this community. Welcome, baby. Yeah.
We got a lot of things done today. The one thing we didn't get done was talk about our evening last night at the cacao ceremony with Keith. I started to talk about it in terms of having appreciated to see the way Keith processes with people. But now we want to just like talk about things that came up for us. What is cacao for you?
Well, being here and witnessing what's kind of now known as the Cacao tribe really blossom here. What was special about yesterday for me is that I haven't actually been that active in the ceremonies for so long, so it was such a joy to get to really to receive and be a part of the way Keith works with this plant and what it feels in the body, and for me what it energetically provides a much deeper access to. Oh, and then it's just that sort of, I suppose, a reaffirmation place of just being able to hang out with people I love in that space, and so it is, it's just so beautiful.
For me, it was I had there was a few incredible moments, and at first I felt like it wasn't a strong enough dosage because I wasn't feeling anything spectacular. And then at one point I had a heart opening. There's a spaciousness, a bit more like ease. But I really went into no expectation, non-attachment to outcome, and real calm. And Keith spotted like my resonance or my energies because he zoned in on me. And that started a whole process where he guided us into the no-thingness, so nothingness, and he brought us into an inward journey into nothingness, and it was very interesting. But that place of going into nothingness, and I told Keith this, and Keith basically says that's like, you know, the enlightened mind. That's like the Buddha mind, like being in. That's how they explain the texture of it is. So it was nice to actually remember that and understand that and be able to journey into that. So that's what Cacao and Keith's Cacao, Keith and Cacao. That's what that brought that to me. So it was an amazing journey and totally unexpected, because I thought it was like very easygoing and an easygoing dose, and I got 2 really important offerings in that ceremony. So I'm very grateful for you for having made that happen. I mean, I knew that you had this since the last time I was here around Easter, and you didn't use it, and I got the opportunity to enjoy that with you and
It's a sweet circle.
your soul family here.
I'm glad you were here to be part of it.